are listening to The Common Sense Practical Prepper, sponsored by Duct Tape, the real duct tape. It fixes everything, except bad decisions. Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. America. From border to border, coast to coast, and all ships at sea, here is your host, Keith.
Hey, all, this is Keith, and welcome back to the Common Sense Practical Prepper podcast, April the 3rd, 2026. Received a few emails over the last week reference my basic pantry or food buffer episode. Some folks really appreciated me going back to basics, so that is what we're going to do again tonight. We're going to talk about water. So if your plan for water in an SHTF situation is just hope that the taps keep running, then this episode is for you. Water storage, water purification, simple, inexpensive stuff you could get at the grocery store. No $300 filters, no crazy gravity filters, no pumps, just what works when things go sideways. The simplest of all, bottled water, plastic bottles. Grab a case, 24 bottles, some have 36, some have 48, $4 or $5 at Walmart, relatively inexpensive. Now, FEMA and some of the other websites will say 1 gallon per person per day. I like to do is 2 gallons per person per day if you have the room. That's going to cover everything. Water to drink, water to cook with, personal hygiene, everything that you need water for. 2 gallons per person per day if you can. They recommend 1. If you can't do 2, go for 1.5, 1.5 per person per day. So just with a case of bottled water, drinking, cooking, brushing your teeth, short term, for a week or two, no issues, easy fix. Long term, if you have several cases of water, go ahead and rotate them first in, first out, because technically water has an expiration date, but I've never bothered looking for it, nor have I ever done any research on bottled water to see how long you can keep it. So when it comes to bottled water, a lot of people are going to freak out when they talk about microplastics. Now, in an SHTF situation, microplastics are the last thing on my mind. Thirst beats tiny little plastic particles running around in your body and your brain. Not a priority for me in an SHTF situation. If you're paranoid about that kind of stuff, rotate your water, rotate your plastic bottled water more often. But honestly, survival trumps purity debates in situations like this. So next up, the bigger jugs. 1 gallon, 2.5 gallon. Sometimes you'll see them like the blue square containers you can put water in. Some are clear, some are stackable. You can stack them up in the garage. Some, I think the largest one I've seen, those aqua cubes or whatever they're called, was 14 gallons. I think that's the largest one I've seen. 1 gallon jugs, same deal. Inexpensive, cheaper by the gallon. And the 1 gallon jugs, same deal. Relatively inexpensive. More portable, if you're bugging out, you can grab a case of those. You can grab 24 of those or 10 of those. Go ahead and put an expiration or at least the day that you bought it in Sharpie. So if you bought it April 1st, 4/1/2026. For serious water storage, the 55-gallon blue barrels, food grade only. Be very, very careful if you purchase used blue barrels. Don't grab some random one from somebody off Facebook Marketplace until you know for sure what was in those, if anything. Now, a few years ago, there was a distillery here in Richmond that was giving away a couple blue barrels, and I went down and spoke with them, and they had food grade labels on them. I had no reason not to trust them because they had a lot of blue barrels and a lot of containers around. And the one that they gave me actually had sugar water in it for one of their whiskey recipes or one of their liquor recipes, whatever they had going on. I was able to rinse that one out, clean it really well. And so I was comfortable with that one. And plus you can buy them brand new, but they can be kind of pricey. So when you fill them up, they recommend that you use a drinking water hose, not a garden hose. Again, I'm not too worried about that. When I had my RV and my camper, I did purchase a water drinking hose, so I have one of those. Push comes to shove, I'm not too worried about grabbing the garden hose and filling up a container that's going to store water. Now for treatment, for the 55-gallon blue barrels, the recommendation is 2 tablespoons of fresh, unscented bleach, 5 to 9% sodium hypochlorite. Put it in the barrel, stir, let it sit 30 minutes, seal it tight, store it in a cool, dark place if you can. Basement, interior garage, away from windows. If you have a concrete floor in your garage, which most people do, put it on top of 2x4s. Do not put it directly onto the concrete. Keep it away from gas, like you fill up your lawnmower, or other chemicals. If you have a lot of ambient light in your garage, you can always throw a tarp on top of your blue barrels. Put a date or a sticker on the date that you filled it. Now, the reason you don't put it directly on the concrete is that I have been told, and I've read it several places, that any chemicals or anything that is on your garage floor will slowly but surely leach in through the plastic and into the blue barrel. So I'll take them at their word for that. So your blue barrels rotate about every 6 months. When you drain them, you need to use a siphon or some sort of pump. Make sure there's no algae, no cloudiness. Go ahead and clean it and then fill it up and then treat it again. The old water, use for your plants, laundry, flush in the toilet. In an SHTF situation, don't waste it. Certainly put it to use. If you treat the water correctly in your blue barrels, 6 months and it's still good. Now, if you run out or you need to refill from a stream, purification 2 different ways. Bleach and stearamine. So we'll talk about bleach first. Household stuff, I talked about it a few minutes ago, 5 to 9% sodium hypochlorite. The CDC says 8 drops per gallon. Stir, wait 30 minutes. Is it cloudy? Then go ahead and treat it again. Go ahead and agitate it, aerate it as best you can. Try to get the bleach mixed in with the water as best you can. Again, let it sit. If it looks good, then go ahead and seal it up nice and tight. Now, when it comes to stearamine, and I've heard difference of opinions on this, stearamine is a tablet, or it also comes in a powder. For sanitizing, 1 or 2 tablets per gallon of water for sanitizing. Dissolve it in warm water, wait a minute. Now it's great for surfaces, dishes. It's very shelf stable, no smell, less harsh than bleach. But as far as treating your water for long-term storage, the CDC and the EPA do not recommend using stearamine. Use it if you're desperate, but bleach is obviously preferred. Now, we talk about sanitizing. You can always use a mixture of bleach water to wipe down the cabinets or any hard surfaces. Stearamine also makes a good disinfectant or a sanitizer in that respect. So again, starting from the beginning, a case of water, you can work yourself up to the 1 gallon, to 2.5 gallon containers, the one that have the spigot. You can kind of sit on the side, sit on a picnic table or sit on a counter, and there's a spigot that you can use to get the water in and out. You have the stackable cubes. I believe they're called aqua cubes. Those can get a little pricey. And then you have your blue barrels. There's a 30-gallon version and a 55-gallon version of blue barrels. And remember, if you're getting blue barrels, make sure they are brand new, or make sure that if they have been used previously, they are food grade and you can verify what was in the barrel. That's H2O 101, very basic. And again, received several emails from folks asking me to go back to the basics in a sense, which is exactly what we'll do. Next podcast, we'll talk about sanitation, and then maybe we'll talk about tools, very simple tools that you should have in your little prepping toolkit. I keep my regular toolkit separate from my prepping toolkit. One, just like the food buffer or the small pantry from the last podcast, if I have my little prepper toolbox over here, I can check it out. I can take inventory, as opposed to my regular toolbox that's much heavier that I cannot take with me when I bug out. Then I don't have to worry about, oh, did that screwdriver come from my big heavy toolbox, or did I grab that one from the prepper toolbox? It's just how my brain works. I like to keep them separate so I don't get things mixed up. Lord forbid I have to bug out and I grab the little prepper toolbox, and then 5 minutes down the road or 5 days down the road, I need one of those tools and I don't have it because I went ahead And after I was done using it, I went ahead and put it in the large, heavy toolbox. All right, folks, I hope everybody has a great weekend. practicalpreppodcast@gmail.com if you want to reach out. On the Twitters, prep_podcast. And again, folks, do me a favor. If you found any of this information useful, please share it, like it, subscribe, and if you could, please leave a review. The downloads are fantastic, don't get me wrong, but it's the reviews that really drive the algorithm that gets the podcast out there. And folks, as always, please be careful, take care of one another, and until next time.
You've been listening to The Common Sense Practical Prepper. Subscribe, like, drop a review. Over and out.